I want to call the January 22nd, 2026 O'Fallon City Council Workshop to order. Roll call, Jill.
Mayor Hennessy.
Present.
Councilmember Wexler.
Present.
Councilmember Roth.
Present.
Councilmember Costello.
Present.
Councilmember Boyer.
Present.
Councilmember Ragsdale.
Present.
Councilmember Kewen.
Present.
Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember Cook.
Present.
Councilmember Thompson.
Present.
All right, folks, you have an agenda in front of you. What's the pleasure?
Motion to approve, Kewen. Second, Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second by Councilman Wexler. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Anything on the council agenda you folks want to talk about? Seeing none. No minutes. Okay. First is review of upcoming Planning and Zoning Commission agenda items. David?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Yeah, I'm here to go through our February 5th Commission agenda that got tabled at our meeting last week, but we're still a week out or two on this, so we got plenty of time to let you know what's going on. This is one application that's been tabled a few times at P&Z 1414 Bryan. They were wanting to build a house kind of on the back and come in with an office building out front and a new storage building and some different things on this property and rezone it. We've been in contact with them and they want to withdraw this. So these will all be withdrawn. We do think they're going to come back maybe sometime in the near future and maybe want to build a new building, a storage building in the back. But that's not confirmed. But for the time being, they want to table all this, these different applications. So moving on to our next item is a conditional use permit to allow alcohol sales. This is 2558 Highway K, formerly known as the Pasta House. So this is Papo's Pizzeria and Pub. I'm not going to read that, but that just kind of gives you an overview. Really, the big thing on here is the hours. I just want to let you know that they told us about the hour. Usually that's a question we have, is how many days of the week and the hours. So we've got that information that'll go through. This is just a CUP for alcohol, so it just goes to P&Z. This would not come to the council. Their menu, that all looks good. Next item is 401 East Wabash, right here at the back entrance to City Hall. It was formerly the OCAC building, and now there's a new user in there that does a charity work for Easter baskets. This property is zoned industrial. It's kind of been left over for a while, so we've been in contact with them, and we're going to have this rezoned. Our downtown overlay does not allow industrial zoning, so we just want to clean that up. So as part of that, they're also going to propose a building addition. On the back, here's a location map. This doesn't really show Sondern, but it kind of goes right there, back entrance to City Hall. And they're going to build a new building, kind of the back side up along the railroad tracks. And there's our elevations. That's the front that you see currently. They've actually kind of made this building look a little nicer here. You probably saw that. But they're adding on to the back. And their floor plan. That's nothing to worry about. Okay. Next item. This is 8485 Mexico Road. This is Texas Roadhouse. They want to add on to their parking. So there's a lot south of there, still backs up to Lowe's, or I guess abuts Lowe's on the side. But this does back up to residential, to the south unincorporated. Yeah, Texas Roadhouse is there. This is Lowe's over here. And they want to add a parking lot to the back. And this drive is currently stubbed out. This is the existing parking. This is stubbed out to this property back here. But they need to rezone that to C2 to be consistent with the Texas Roadhouse property. And then they'd have just a parking lot kind of taking up this area. And there's the parking lot for that. So this will be coming to council for the rezoning that we'll see. Landscape plan there. Okay. Next item is we had a PUD discussion on this one at our last planning and zoning meeting, but this would be an annexation to council, a rezoning, area plan, pretty much the whole deal. So they want to annex and rezone it to an R1 PUD for single-family homes. This is out just west of here's Harvest. Highway Inn is kind of actually off the page up here. This is the new sewer plant right there. So this is all just west. Deer Road comes through and will extend through the property. Caballo Farms is how we say that from what I'm told. It's about 95 acres, 276 units, all single family. And you're going to see a lot of different, I just put these all in here because I didn't really know what to include and not. But it's pretty much all their different series, like this is kind of their entry model series, and it kind of moves through. If you want me to stop, I can. But it's just their different, upgrade different series of homes. So it's pretty much all their home models would be an option in here, depending on, I guess, the village where it would be. And that's kind of a close-up on it. And here's their plan. North Highway Inn is up this way. So this is Deer Road coming down. We've been talking to them about extending this road, just having that built now, just because we're worried that if it's not built now, we would have trouble getting it extended in the future, because there's going to be quite a few homes backing up to this. That's a concern we have. This going through here, that's an overhead power line. It's a transmission line going through. But they are saving a good amount of trees. This would all kind of remain, and down in here would be a lot of common ground. This is the sewer plant right there. Just a couple close-ups of that same plan. So, yep, that's what I got.
Questions for David? Ms. Taylor?
I bet you know what I'm going to talk about, the Bryan Road.
Bryan Road?
You said they withdraw it.
Yep.
So my question is, I mean, I had a meeting with some of the neighbors there and everything recently, and one of the conclusions they came was like maybe doing this development or rezoning would actually improve some of the things that's going on, like the trailer, that one trailer that's on their property that's causing a bunch of water issues. And since they're going to withdraw it, can we still pursue,
Yeah, I think we've given them a notice to remove that trailer. I don't have the timing on that off the top of my head, but I think that has been written up. They may have even gotten a summons on that, because that's been going on a while because we were waiting for this to play out, But I know that's been an ongoing, it's an open code enforcement item.
Okay, and I know one big one, and I know they've been in touch, I think, with the chief about this, was just the noise problems that they've been having. And I think they said the last time they called with 2 a.m. or something like that, with banging the trucks, and I mean, he has a business, so I know when the snow, I think he salts streets and everything, that I think he told him that, well, I'll just take the ticket. So I didn't know if there's anything like more you can enforce. I mean, if he's just like, every time I'll take the ticket and I'm okay, I'll just pay the ticket. I don't know what else we can do. It's just what I'm wondering.
Yeah, that almost becomes a judge issue. I don't, we're enforcing the code. If he's just paying the ticket, I mean, we can write another ticket, but I don't know that we could do much more than that. It's probably something we could talk about. I don't have a better answer right now, I guess.
Yeah,
I have not heard that part of it, I guess.
I know the chief, right? I know they've been in touch with the department there, so I didn't know what else you can do after that.
Yeah, we have, and what David said was right. We can keep issuing tickets, and then I'd have to read the nuisance ordinance a little more closely, but I think we could probably get him under a nuisance thing too and just keep escalating that way.
My suggestion is if he keeps getting tickets and keeps going to the judge's going to have to make him do something. I mean, maybe the first time, maybe the second time, but if he keeps getting the tickets and coming in front of the judge, he's going to have to do something.
But yeah, I guess we can talk more about that internally. And, yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. Wexler?
Thank you, Mayor. The Texas Roadhouse, with that parking lot, is there any way we can require screening on the, what would that be, south side of it, backing up to those houses? I know that's a county neighborhood, but I think maybe to be good neighbors, just so we're not putting headlights into people's back doors in the middle of the night, or late at night, I guess I should say.
Yeah, this is not the best plan, but I was looking at this earlier today, and I think they are, and Ethan's can confirm there, yeah. There is a fence down this side, and I think even up this side. I'm not positive on this, but there is a fence down on the south side.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, probably not on the east, because I think this is still commercial here, but.
Yeah, I was just looking at it. I don't even think, I think that's an empty lot.
Yeah.
I was just more worried about the houses down on the,
Yeah.
I guess that would be south side of it.
That it, sir? Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Thank you, Mr. Woods.
Okay.
Next is discussion on the one-year moratorium. I think we had some questions.
Yep. So back in at our December meeting, it wasn't really a workshop. I think it was just like an open discussion, right? Yeah. And the council kind of went around and had a various list of questions. So we've taken those questions, and I think pretty much what this presentation is meant to be is to answer those questions and kind of go through. We had a list of quite a few. This kind of goes through all those questions just in kind of an order that I thought made sense. So we'll see how it goes. The first one that I wanted to start off on was just the comprehensive plan. That was one of the questions, and just all the time we spent on adopting our comprehensive plan. This was back a couple years ago, actually 6 years ago almost now, but it's a long-range guide that helps the city grow and makes decisions related to land use, transportation, parks, open space, and different improvements. We use it as a reference when we're talking to developers, where we're wanting to see growth or where new roads need to be preserved for right-of-ways. It's just a guiding tool, but it does not. It's not really a code that it's not like we're doing variances to it. It's just something that we use as a guide. It's not law. This was during COVID, so we started in 2020, went through 2020, and then it was adopted in 2021. And we kind of had a couple different phases. This was done by an outside consultant that the city paid to do a lot of this for us. They did all the data gathering. They did the land use planning development. They drafted it and presented it to the council in planning and zoning. We did public workshops. We had P&Z, public hearing at P&Z and council a few different times as we were going through this. And yeah, we had 3 different workshops, open houses. We did the online, which at the time I thought it was really cool. We had a kind of virtual town hall where you could kind of walk in the rotunda and you could click on different topics. That was on our website that people could log in, or not really log into, but just view and provide responses. We received online responses. We also created a CPAC committee, Comprehensive Plan Advisory Committee. And that was a group of people, pretty big group, 21 people. You can see the list of different officials there of what they were, stakeholders and residents. We also did a walking tour of downtown as a big group and kind of talked about different land uses and traffic and pedestrian ways. So that was another part of it that we did. But it was adopted in right around the summer, I would say, of 2021. And we've made a few updates to the thoroughfare plan over the years since, but that's pretty much what an important document to us. Another question that came up was just what is out there currently. If somebody would come in today without a rezoning, are there properties in the city that could just be developed with apartments right now, multifamily? So right now, R3, R4, and mixed-use areas would allow apartments, multifamily, I guess I should say. So around the whole city, after looking at this a couple different times, there are 159 acres in the city right now that could come in as just without even a rezoning, but could be developed with multifamily housing. And I've got this broken up to into the different wards so you can see a little bit better. So Ward 1, my numbers are going to be off just because my map was a little different. Hopefully that makes sense. But just here, 4 is a little lot just kind of by the library. I've talked to these people probably a few times over the years. It's pretty small. They really can't do much with it, but it's just kind of sitting there. 5 is part of the right next to Meadowlands. That's got some zoning on it for multifamily. 6 and 7 is St. Mary's. It's kind of been an ongoing topic. Not sure how that's going to all play out, but that zone mixed use could be developed. Let's say number 12 there. That's a man, Guttermouth, used to be Guttermouth Gas, and he really has, it's been for sale, but I'm not sure why it's just kind of been sitting there. I've never really heard much about it. Last I heard he was talking about maybe one of his kids would build a house there, but that's been maybe a year or two ago. 13 is an odd lot. This is on the corner of Sondran and Mexico. There's a vet clinic that was built right at the corner, and there's a remnant piece that kind of goes up across the creek that's zoned multifamily. It's really not even really developable just because the access is a problem. This is wards 2 and 3. 17 and 18, that's the Winghaven driving range, golf course driving range there. At one point they had come in, this has been years ago, wanted to do senior family apartments there. So that was talked about, but they never pursued that. Ironically though, and they're interested in this discussion, there's a developer looking at this piece right there to do multifamily, or no, I'm sorry, senior housing on. So that might be something we'll be seeing here real shortly. 19, that's possible. It's actually come in more recently to be Schaefer Auto Body was wanting to build the building there, but it's possible that could be developed as multifamily just with the being part of Winghaven. I think that's a possibility. Ward 4, 14, I think we all know what that one is, right? Yeah. 15, 16, that's out in front of Mount Roche, mixed use. I've been in contact with these folks. There has been discussions on wanting to do some multifamily there. So that's one that's kind of in the queue, I would say possible. And then Ward 5, 1 and 2 there it's just a man that lives in the old house there. I don't know that he even has it for sale, but I've talked to him over the years because he's got a storage lot there, but I don't know that I haven't heard of any interest on that. 3 is an oddball piece too, just kind of sitting up right along Highway P, and not really ever heard much about that, but that's R3 zoning. 8, 9, 10 is O'Fallon Station, which is mixed use, and then 11 is, I think there's somebody looking at that, but I haven't heard anything official. That's right along Bryan, along VMP. So I guess if there's any questions on any of those, I guess I could take those now, or that's just, I think, what we have in the queue that could possibly come in without being rezoned.
Linda?
David, on there, number 3, is that east of the church, or what? Where's the church in relation to that?
So I still call it St. Barnabas is there. And then
the other church,
there,
not St. Barnabas, but the Baptist church.
It'll be west of that church. Yeah.
Okay. Amanda?
I had a question more about the comprehensive plan. As I was reading it, it said, I noticed how it said we need a lot more parks you know, for, I guess, the population and area we have. I guess this is a question probably I should have asked you last time. If you don't, I don't know if you'll know it, but how do we have any areas that are zoned for that? I mean, how is that zoned? Or because like my ward has 0 parks in it, you know. So how would we even come to get one in that area?
Yeah, we really don't have any property really, unless the city has bought it, but and we rezone it. But yeah, I don't. As in your area, I can't really speak that we're actually have any possible options because it's pretty much all ground that's spoken for, you know.
I mean, that driving range is nice.
We don't show that as a park on our comprehensive plan. I know that much. Yeah, we show that you know, yeah, right. Yep.
Any other questions? Debbie?
So, I mean, I was on the comprehensive committee when we did it. Now that some time has gone by, some things have been built and filled in, what would be our process if we were to look at it now, say the driving range there on Mexico Road and say, you know, at the time when this was zoned, it was appropriate, but now it really isn't appropriate for, you know, apartments to be there. What would be our process to be able to get this rezoned?
To rezone it, I mean, the city could go. I mean, we've done it on a few cases over the years where the city could do a city-initiated rezoning. As the city, we've done that, and we could do that. So that's a possibility, I would say.
Okay, just because everything around it is R1, I didn't know if there would be something that we could maybe discuss down the road about the rezoning on that piece of property, at least to get it to something that's comparable to what's around it. So, okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
This one, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just one thing that wasn't in my slides for the P&Z preview was actually we have another plan that we just got in. I didn't get a slide for it, but they do have a plan to build like a covering over the the tee boxes. So they're wanting to make an improvement to add that there. So
I noticed yesterday, I guess, they're digging out the pond, or right there where the putting green. I guess they're doing some work, so they're working on it, which is great. I'm glad to hear that.
Hold on. Folks, we're going to take a little break right now. We're having audio problems back there, so since we do not have a closed session, we're going to go ahead and take a break until if I can get this thing figured out, and then we'll come back and finish the presentation. So do I need a motion to that? Okay. We're adjourned for a while. All right, we're back, and if you're having trouble, you can go to, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's youtube.OFallon or /O. Go ahead, Tom.
YouTube/OFallonTV.
There you go. There we go. All right, continue, David.
all right, this is the slide we left off on earlier. So one of the questions we had was just the different moratoriums that the city had run into or had reviewed or adopted over the years and how those might have impacted the city. So we went back through our records and we found several, and I have a slide for each. So back in 2003, we had a moratorium proposed on the downtown area development. You can see there we did some public hearings. It was tabled, and then it was never brought forward again. So nothing really to report on that one. And then in 2004, we had another moratorium. This was for floodplain development and properties that might be impacted by pipelines. And you can see we talked about that. We did the public hearing, and that was denied by the board back in December 2004. So it did not go into effect. Then there's another one in 2005. This was related to floodplain development also. This was for 6 months. We did the hearings. The board approved it in November 2005. And I think at the time, that's when we were working on a new floodplain management ordinance. So there was a new ordinance that was worked on during that time. And this is just the letter that approved that. So not much to say there. Then in 2007, this was not a moratorium, but we did delay the plan expiration dates due to the lack of sanitary sewer capacity, but it did not prohibit new development. It just let them have their expiration dates extended. 2018, we talked about a moratorium for Turtle Creek, the PUD. We talked about that. Talking about a 6-month moratorium there. We did the public hearings. That was denied by council. So that was what our history was with the moratoriums over the years. Another question we had was just what our permits look like in a couple different grouping of years. So this is 2003 through 2008. Here's the different years and the columns. Kind of within this 5-year total, we had multifamily 854 units that was constructed or permitted during that time. Total permits 6796. So then we did the same thing for the years 2021 through 2025. Apartments 501, so less there. Less permits. One thing I forgot to mention on this prior side, single-family homes 4435 back in 2003, 2008. More recently, we had 1,287. So over the last 5 years, this is kind of a breakdown on the multifamily developments that we've seen going through our city processes. We've got apartments, in the year they were approved and the number of units and if they were actually built. This Altair Phase 2, that was actually originally approved in 2017, but it kind of rolled through the years. A couple of these, like this one, Thornwood, is under construction currently. Arrive, we just extended that again. We've told them we're not going to extend it anymore, but that's been going on for almost 8 years now, I guess. Pinewood, we've gave them an extension. They have not built that. Caledonia Flats, no. So pretty much half of these are not moving forward yet. Landing of O'Fallon was approved 2022, 204 units. We've actually approved a new plan on that same property that's not apartments. It's for sale townhomes. That's down at O'Fallon Road and Highway K. Seniors, same kind of thing. We've got a few under construction. Some that have not been built. We just approved Stonebridge Commons at our meeting last week, I guess it was. That's the one in Mexico and Canast. Here's some more. So this prior slide was just multifamily and seniors. This one is R3 PUD, which also allows multifamily. And then we've got other multifamily in different zoning. So same kind of story. We've got projects that's been the year approved. If they were built, Fairways of Turtle Creek, those expired. A couple of these are under construction. Aragon. Pheasant Grove is the one that I spoke of that's replaced the landing. That's 68 units now. It was approved originally as apartments, like I said, 204 units. Harvest. Harvest is a little different where it's an R1 PUD, but there is a mix of multifamily. There's 162 townhomes in there, 734 single family. So zoning, there's questions on what do we actually call multifamily. So in our zoning code, it's 3 or more units that are attached. A villa is 2 family. It's not multifamily. We don't call it. It's 3 or more is what our code says. Senior overlay zoning can be in different zoning districts I have listed there. It takes a conditional use to do that, and that comes to council for consideration. Census information, there's a question on like the age of folks that move into the city. It's really not a number that we were able to really kind of pin down. But what we can tell you, just the different age brackets and just, our 5 to 19 age range, that's the highest population we have in the city currently, which I thought was interesting. The average age of folks in the city, 37 and a half years old. I don't know if there's any questions on that. So another thing we heard was, the utility providers, can't keep up with the growth. So we kind of followed up on that question. We checked with O'Fallon Fire, O'Fallon Water and Sewer, and then on this side we have the Public Water District. We never heard from any of the folks we contacted that the growth is bad or that they can't keep up. They plan for it and they have the resources to keep up with it. This is the school district. This is Fort Zumwalt. They're working on a demographic study currently to review this long range, so that's supposed to come out this spring. They're seeing a lot of growth on the north side of O'Fallon, like it says. And they have seen new challenges with multifamily homes, but that's part of their study that they're looking at. We also heard back from Francis Howell. They've been able to keep up with the new developments. And Wentzville, they have issues with the roads down there, but not necessarily the population. I think it's more of the traffic and the roads, like they say, infrastructure. But they seem to be able to keep up as far as that goes. Another question we had is how full are our current apartments? How much of the units are being filled? We've heard, what we've heard at meetings, that as these come forward, we hear that they're usually around 90-95% occupied. Older ones are a little bit lower. We heard this most recently from the Thornwood apartment developers. And you can see there 85 to 90% is at their ideal. They want to keep some open so they can have people be able to move in. And then we also have a contract with CoStar, which is like a national economic development tool on properties. And we looked at their information, and it was consistent with that kind of occupancy or vacancy rate. And this is information from CoStar, and they say we're around 6 to 7% vacant on our apartments. And some of these big drops you see, like these going up, that's what a new project comes online. The number of units kicks up, and that's why there's those big jagged drops and rises there. This is something we've been doing the last couple of years, is fiscal impact, which I think this is important for us to know, making decisions for the city. But when we approve a project, what is it going to cost the city to maintain it? So we've created a tool internal where we kind of plug in the number of units and the tax rate and different things, and we're wanting to see, how much the city spends versus how much is the city bringing in on taxes is our goal here. And actually with the multifamily, they put the city in the green. The city doesn't really have much to maintain. We don't have the roads to maintain is the big one. So you can see here, Avenue 64, we're making that much on a dollar that we're spending on code enforcement or police. There's really no maintenance for the city on the roads. It's all private. So these are all in the green. The city is not losing money on these projects. Taking it a step forward, kind of did the same thing. So we did this green property here is apartments. It's 4.5 acres, 16 units, and we were just talking internally. I wonder how much, if you take the same area, what does that look like if you put the same kind of area within like single-family homes? So this right across the street, we picked a similar sized area, 4.1 acres. There's 13 homes here. We're maintaining the street. You can see we're losing money on that. It's costing the city to maintain that street, and just given the taxes and who's living there, it's not something that's in the green, I guess. Another project similar, this here green is apartments, Pinewood Place. You can see there, 5.5 acres, 72 units. We're making $3.55, we believe. This is all estimates, rough numbers that we're working with, but that's what we believe. For every dollar spent, we believe we're up $3.55. Same amount of area, single family, we're losing. Okay, there's the moratorium draft ordinance that's in the packet. And we looked at that, we had some comments as to bring forward. If this does move forward, we do think there needs to be a process to go through the public hearing like it's required by state. We think the definitions need to be clarified. 3 or more units, like we talked about, our definitions might be different than what's in there. The final approval language is maybe different than what we're used to, so we think that needs to be cleared up and looked at a little closer. There's a reference in there to materially alter. We're not sure what that means. We're kind of worried about what that might include. So if we're going to do this, we probably need to look closer at that. And we do think the way it's written, it would include senior housing. So that could be something that we need to look at closer also. And yeah, this is just an ongoing thing. So in our strategic plan, we talked about affordable housing. It's something we've been trying to work on internally as a staff. That was one of our goals in the strategic plan for the city. We've been looking at R3 to make changes to do that. So if this moratorium would be enacted, that would definitely impact what we're trying to do on that part of our strategic plan. So I was wanting to bring that up as a topic also. And I think that was my last slide. Yep.
Questions? Amanda?
First, I was going way back. 159 acres of land zoned for apartments, and that's an undeveloped area. What would you say that's compared to other, what percentage of all undeveloped area is that? Would you get, I mean, I know you can't just pull that number out your head, but if you were to guess.
If I were to guess.
You think it's higher, like on the higher end or lower?
Are you talking that's zoned R1 and commercial and all that stuff?
You mentioned the 159 acres that are zoned, for.
I know of a 100-acre piece of industrial that's sitting vacant, so there's going to be more industrial, commercial, single family that's vacant than 100. I would say that's definitely would be true. The more undeveloped.
Like you think?
Does that make sense? Yeah. But that's something we can pull up pretty easily if you need us.
I was just.
Okay.
And then when you determined the vacancy in apartments that we have now, if you wanted to go back to that, you used that one company, but also how did you determine the others from just what the developers had brought? Yeah.
So yeah, we had, it was from some comments we heard in a public meeting where they told us that.
There's not a way you could tell, like
that's what this
permits
are. It's not that simple. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely something we could track over time, but since our permits are only done at the time of a person moving in or out and in, that's not like a yearly thing on all of our rentals. It's as they become vacant, I guess. So it's not as simple looking up a permit to see. But it's something we could track, I think, possibly. But that's why we got this CoStar data where it seems like they do have that same kind of information on their part of it. But as a city, we don't really track that.
Okay, thanks.
Mr. Kuhn?
I just wanted to say thank you to David and to the staff members who helped you put this together. I know this was, I'm sure, a lot of fun to put together with all of your other responsibilities, but as usual, you've done an excellent job of putting together information that I think will help us make a good decision. So thank you.
Thanks I had a lot of help on this for sure, so thank you.
Yeah, do pass that along, please.
Debbie?
Thanks. Not that it's important, but would you add to your list of apartments the Jewel that was built in 2021 since it was
I missed one. Uh-oh.
You missed the Jewel.
Okay, that's bound to happen, but I'm sorry about that.
Brian?
All right, mine's more of a process. What do we do with this now? I don't know what we've got I don't think this whole moratorium came through a normal process. I don't know what what's next? What do we need to do as a council? I don't know what the next steps are, so I'm just confused. I need guidance.
I can tell you what my thoughts are. It is on the agenda for tonight, but if this council wants to move forward, that wording has got to be changed completely, because it's calling for the moratorium, and it's not correct because it needs to go back to P and Z. So it's up to this council whether you want to move forward with sending it back to P and Z or let it die and vote it down. That's, unless I'm mistaken, somebody correct me. Did you have something, sir?
No, sir, thank you.
Amanda?
Yeah, just going off that, if we did want to send it to P and Z for them to look at it and the wording and everything, I mean, we could, because I'm definitely leaning like the multifamily part. I've talked to Habitat with Humanity and some of the others, and I know it can, like you said, 3 or more dwellings, it could kind of single out these affordable homes that are like duplexes, triplexes, and things like that. If there's a way, then if we did want to move it forward to P and Z, could we just remove that, strike that part out, the multifamily? I'm asking whoever would know.
If you're asking me,
Put your microphone on, please.
sorry, I'm spoiled. But you telling me to turn the mic on. The irony of it.
Yeah.
The bill is yours, so you can craft it to say what you want it to say. The point made on the agenda and by the inquiry from the member is that no substantive action. The bill cannot be considered for adoption until it has gone through the P and Z review and hearing process. So what you wish to introduce, what you wanted to say is up to you as the sponsor of the bill. So I'm really not clear what you would like to do.
I would just saying that I would like to remove that multifamily part, but I would still like it to go, just be reviewed by P and Z and hear their thoughts on it.
Would you like to withdraw this bill and submit a revised bill?
Or can we just add an amendment, or we wouldn't be able to do that tonight?
We'd have to identify what portions of the bill are to be amended. And I don't know if you're prepared to do that or...
I was just saying the multifamily part. I still would like to keep the apartment part. I'm going to make it. I stumped you.
Yes, you have, because
Well,
I'm loath to presume that I will write a bill that says what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay? As you've presented a complete piece of legislation, and as opposed to sort of discussing a subject, if we're going to refer a specific piece of legislation, it ought to contain what you want it to contain. And I'm reluctant to presume that I would edit it correctly, given the sort of broad nature of your statement about what you want to include or not include.
Amanda, I think if you want to remove the R3 or the apartment side of things, to me, that just wipes your whole bill out.
No, not the apartment side. The multifamily 3, defining that as 3 or more.
Okay. I mean, you're the sponsor of the bill. You're going to have to decide what you want to do with it.
Well, I guess it's kind of going back with Brian. Like, if I wanted to do that, what is the process? What are our options?
Well, I can tell you, I'll give you my thoughts. My thought is to withdraw it and get with the city attorney and let him know what you want, and then you can bring that back for a workshop to decide if this council wants to do it. That's my suggestion to you, because the way this ordinance is written now,
So if we did approve it to send to P and Z, we could still amend it afterwards? That's a question.
The council can always amend legislation before. If, and I don't want to get in the weeds here, but if it's been referred to P and Z and has had a public hearing, and the council wishes to make an amendment at that point that is substantive in nature, it sort of changes the beast a little bit, then it has to go back to P and Z and that be subject to another public hearing, so that P and Z and the public are addressing the bill as, now, if it's not substantive change, that's not necessary. I would suggest it's more efficient for P and Z to know exactly what it is you want them to study, as opposed to saying, study this sort of broad subject and tell us what you think. Which is why I suggest that referring a bill that says what you want it to say is an effective way of saying, here's what I want them to study. Does that make sense?
And then if there's no amendment, I guess I'd like to know what that, like kind of what Brian was asking, like where we go for here. Would we, after tonight, then do the first reading? Is that the next step?
It's already had first reading, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, it was tabled before that, right?
I don't know if it was first read or not.
Okay. Well, and the other thing is, Amanda, you know,
It's on for second reading, so it has been first read.
so David, if you would go,
Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's the wrong bill.
Yeah, first reading.
Where is that damn thing?
okay, David, go to what your guys' concerns were with the bill.
Here it is, I'm sorry. First reading,
Yeah.
excuse me, first reading, I apologize. So, am I?
Go ahead.
Okay. I would suggest that it is more efficient to refer the bill to P and Z before first reading, so you don't get into a situation where a bill has been first read, goes out, comes back, and has to be amended in order to take advantage of the input from P and Z. If you refer the bill to them before first reading, then you get two proceedings at the city council when it comes back to be fully considered. So if you want to send it as is, a motion to remove this from the agenda and refer it to P and Z for review and report back to the council would probably be the most efficient way to do that.
But the only thing is if you look at David's comments, what staff's comments are, they have a lot of things that y'all need to decide what you want to do. So, I mean, it is up to this council, but I can tell you, my thought is to withdraw it, get your ducks in a row of what you want planning and zoning to say, or to study, to bring back to this council. Anybody else? Mr. Keown?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there comes a point when you wreck your car and you decide, okay, I can replace the fender and the headlight and it'll be fine. But when you have to replace both fenders and the hood and both headlights and the engine and the windshield and everything else, there comes a point where you have to say, is this worth repairing, or do we just start over? I think this one's worth starting over. If we're gonna consider it at all, I think it should start with a clean sheet of paper.
Anybody else? Again, Amanda, this is on for first reading, so it's going to be your decision what you want to do. Come one time to read the bill. Okay? Anybody else? No further business. We're adjourned. See you at 7:30. I want to call the January 22nd, 2026 O'Fallon City Council meeting to order. Roll call, Katie.
Mayor Hennessy.
Present.
Councilmember Wexler.
Present?
Councilmember Roth.
Present.
Councilmember Boyer.
Present.
Councilmember Thompson,
Present.
Councilmember Cascola,
Present.
Councilmember Kewen,
Present.
Councilmember Taylor,
Present.
Councilmember Cook, Councilmember Ragsdale.
Present.
If everyone would please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Cascola, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Roth.
Thank you, Mayor. I get so nervous every time I'm on this side of the podium. You guys are scary, and you all have a lot of courage to come up here and talk. Join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we are grateful for the opportunity to gather this evening in service to the people of O'Fallon. We give thanks to you for this community and the shared hope we hold for its future. As the members of this council and all who are present take place in tonight's work, may integrity shape every discussion, respect remain in all of our hearts, and your wisdom guide each decision. May we listen with open minds, speak with civility, and act with compassion for all who live, work, play, and pray in this great city. We ask for your clarity in complex matters, courage in difficult moments, and unity in our shared responsibility to serve the common good. May our efforts tonight contribute to the safety, prosperity, and well-being of O'Fallon and all of its residents. We ask you keep a watchful eye and hands of safety on our officers and first responders this weekend as we face incoming weather. We thank you for your presence, your guidance, and eternal blessings. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Folks, you have an agenda in front of you. Mr. Cascola.
Yes, Mayor. I'd like to withdraw Bill number 7798 at the request of the applicant. I make a motion to remove Bill number 7798, to withdraw Bill number 7798 at the request of the applicant.
Okay.
A second.
Is that Ms. Thompson? Yes. Questions or comments on the amendment? All in favor? Any opposed? Do I have a motion and a second to approve the amended agenda? Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you. I have another change to make. Number 3, Bill number 7809, it says that it's reconsidered by both council members Roth and Ragsdale. Councilmember Roth never asked for this to be reconsidered. It was me on behalf of the other 3 members, so it should only be my name, or it should be all 4 of us and not just me and Roth.
So are you wanting all 4 of you on there, or just 3 of you, or?
I guess at this point, let's just have it reconsidered by Ragsdale. I don't know why Roth's name was put on here in the first place.
That's fine. So we'll just scratch Mr. Roth's name out of here.
Good.
And we'll go from there. Anything else? Do I have a motion second to approve the amended agenda?
Motion Cascola to approve agenda.
Second, Thompson.
Motion by Councilman Cascola, second by Councilwoman Thompson. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Presiding officer's report. To the City Council, city staff, and the residents of the great city of O'Fallon, I want to apologize for my remarks last Thursday. I let my emotions get to the best of me. I am very passionate about the betterment of this great city of O'Fallon, as was shown following the vote. While earnest passion is needed to be an effective leader, it is expected to be done so in a professional manner, regardless of title. I've always strived to set an example for others during my more than 25 years of service to this great city, and I will continue to do so. I can guarantee you it will not happen again. Again, I apologize for my actions. Thank you. That's all we have on presiding officer's report. Citizens' comments. Again, 3 minutes per speaker. Mr. Dienoff.
Good evening, members of the City Council. My name is Arnie C. A.C. Dienoff, City Advocate running for City Council Ward 1. These City Council meetings get harder and harder. It seems like the City Council wants to give away our money, give away our farm, and give away our restaurant. To the Mayor, your remarks, your demeanor, your mean-spirited hate at last week's City Council meeting were mean and very concerning. I understand that you wrote an email to City Council members last Friday. I'm making a public request under Chapter 610.021 that you post on the city's website and send me the email that you sent to elected officials. You unleashed and lashed out at me for clapping in defeat of well over $200 million of tax giveaways to a person who's never built a sports park or a facility in their career, but has only built hotels and possibly restaurants that he owns. You used the F-bomb, called the City Council a bunch of effing idiots, and threatened to remove me for ensuring the city charter was being followed 100%. You want to give 100% tax abatement, tax exemptions, low interest bonds, city payments, giving hotel guest taxes to Andy Patel. You threatened to remove me and owe me a huge apology for violating my civil rights and the open meetings violation of our state law. You are not a dictator. You are passionate about giving away our money. To the City Council, say a hard no to Dobbs, although that's already been withdrawn, and also say a hard no to Scooters Coffee, the CUP, Bill number 7799. Let's get back to Andy Patel. The Patels are huge, over $100 million in wealth millionaires, owning Apple Investors Group, 63 Applebee's, 73 Burger Kings, 38 IHOPs, 18 Pizza Huts, numerous travel lodges and hotels, 4 Dogwood social houses. Andy Patel is building a private complex. Andy Patel needs to build on his own dime and 100% on his own risk. We're giving this guy over $200 million, and I guess Ms. Ragsdale is giving in to the mayor and going to vote yes, and she asked that it be reconsidered, which is unfortunate. I'll be endorsing her opponent in the Ward 5 candidate race, or city council race. We're giving away the grocery store and our farm. Andy Patel's not even a resident of our region. And if any other city council members change your vote, I will endorse your opponent or make sure and find another candidate for next year's election.
You have 10 seconds.
This is wrong, unethical, and just a total waste of our dollars on the backs of our shoulders. These are basic requirements for the person, and all these exemptions,
Mr. Dienoff,
it's just a shame.
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Tom Hickman.
Hi. I am speaking on behalf of the Dobbs and Scooters, and I now understand that the Dobbs has been pulled off the table.
Use your name and address for the record, please.
Oh, sorry. Tom Hickman, 834 Upland Loop. And I understand that the Dobbs has been taken off the table. I appreciate that, and I think that's, you know, a move towards compromise. I still have a lot of concerns with the scooters that's proposed to go in where it's going in, and I guess I really want the council to think about, you know, the impacts of something like a drive-through approved, you know, near near a roundabout that's a high traffic area that's going to have so many temporary vehicles coming and going. Now we don't know what's going to happen or what's going to be proposed on those other plots and those lands. I would really hope to not see that become ultimately a bunch of drive-throughs that kind of exist on a nice plot of land in front of nice houses in a neighborhood like that. Obviously, the council knows what their powers are to vote one way or another, but I'd be a little bit concerned as a citizen of what kind of precedent that would set. So I guess just in summary, I really want the council to kind of consider that in this proposal. It's not a specific business or the fact that it's a scooters or coffee or anything like that, but do you really want to put drive-throughs that are that close to roundabouts that are already kind of, you know, poor traffic features? So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next. Justine Wright.
Good evening. I'm Justine Wright. I live at 104 Downview Drive in the Streets of Caledonia neighborhood, and I am here to ask you to reconsider placing high-traffic, auto-oriented businesses directly next to our homes with young children. Streets of Caledonia is a dense, family-focused residential neighborhood. Our sidewalks are busy, and many families have school-aged children, toddlers and even infants, including myself. My 4-year-old, Lucy, is here with us tonight. I also have a 7-year-old at home, and I have a 4-month-old. Children in our neighborhood walk, ride bikes, and play on the sidewalks and in driveways just feet from where that scooter's development is being proposed. A typical drive-through coffee shop can generate hundreds of vehicle trips per day, particularly during morning and afternoon peak hours when our children are walking to the bus stop or playing outside with friends. This level of traffic is fundamentally incompatible with residential edge. National traffic safety data shows that children under 10 are at highest risk of injury or death in low-speed residential vehicle areas, especially where driveways and turning traffic increase. These are exactly the conditions this proposal would create. Children are unpredictable by nature, and no amount of parental supervision can eliminate the risk created by commercial traffic patterns designed for speed and convenience. This is not just about inconvenience for us, it's about preventable danger. Beyond safety, there's a clear impact on quality of life. Early morning traffic, engine noise, headlights, and congestion directly outside bedroom windows. Families who purchased homes here did so with the reasonable expectation that they wouldn't be living next to a drive-through lane. The long-term consequences could mean decreased property values, reduced desirability for future families, and a precedent that residential buffers don't matter. We're not anti-business. We understand that there's a need for growth. We knew that when we bought into the neighborhood, but growth should not come at the expense of children's safety or neighborhood integrity. Responsible growth places high-traffic commercial uses on arterial roads or commercial corridors, not directly behind homes with small kids. We're asking you to prioritize safety, compatibility, and the long-term health of this neighborhood and to protect the families who already live here. Please reconsider zoning compatibility and choose development that aligns with the character of Streets of Caledonia. If this is approved, the city of O'Fallon will be putting revenue ahead of safety. O'Fallon should have better, safer, and family-friendly options for businesses in this space. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is Zach Wright.
Hello, Zach Wright, 104 Downview. Just reiterating what my lovely wife just voiced. We have 3 children. My son, 7 years old, James, walks to the bus every day. His friend's house is right along the exit where scooters will be exiting from that area straight into the residential lane. The exit of the drive-through goes straight to their driveway. So my son walks to their house multiple days a week, plays in their backyard. The risk of danger to children is just like she voiced. Revenue over safety is not the risk we want to take. And yeah, I just want to make sure that we're taking that into account, because safety is my ultimate goal, is making sure my children are safe, that the community that we bought into and want to live in forever, build our home there and live our lives there. We want to make sure that it's being built up the way we had expected when we were sold this neighborhood. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Dowling.
Hey, Jen Dowling, 111 Downview Drive. We've been here several times to speak to you, and for those of you who we've emailed and we've called and you have given us the gracious amount of time to speak to us, we do appreciate it. For those of you who have taken the time to drive through our neighborhood, we appreciated it. How did this start? This started by me walking with my Cavalier King Charles Spaniel and my daughter Charleston, who is autistic, and I saw a yellow sign at the corner that said, hey, public hearing. I'm a mom, man. I work a full-time job. I have 2 kids. I'm a mom. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know how city council worked. I didn't know how planning and zoning worked. But I knew when I saw these businesses, like when we saw in May, if you look back at the city council report, there was a McDonald's slated for across the street next to the row homes, a McDonald's 40 feet from somebody's house, and all of a sudden it just disappeared. This is not just about the vote tonight. This is about coming up with a long-term solution. It is very intimidating to come up here and speak to all y'all. Just the nature of this room. You're here, I'm down here. We're going up against a multi-million-dollar developer. These people have more money than our entire neighborhood will make in their lifetimes. I didn't know how this stuff worked. I didn't know what I was doing. But I would give this council a suggestion. While I understand the 3 minutes because you can't have people up here for 25 minutes because you'd be here to midnight, but when you have conflict, which is what we have right now, conflict is solved by communication, transparent communication, not by conversations that are had. We just learned that the Dobbs got taken off the table. Right now, we didn't know that coming into this. We spent a lot of time preparing, researching. I have spent hours researching codes that I knew nothing about to come speak to you. So I would encourage maybe to change the format. Give us 3 minutes, but we want to talk to you. We want to have a conversation. I don't want to come up here and preach to you. You're not my kids. I don't want to preach like a mama. I want to talk to you. We want to have resolution with this developer. So it's not just about the vote tonight. Obviously, we want you to vote no. And I'll give you the reasons why, but if I can make it through my 3 minutes without getting called out. But we don't want to keep coming back here every 3 months when a chicken nugget place or something else that shows up that's going to risk the safety of our kids. We want resolution, and it's not just this one lot. There's 6 lots that are 40 feet from our home. So why should you vote no? Your own codes. The city of O'Fallon has codes. I feel bad for y'all. This should have stopped at planning and zoning. This shouldn't be the city council's problem. Planning and zoning should have never gotten here. There's 4 reasons why the CUP, it says tendency to generate excessive traffic, potential for attracting large number of persons to the area to use creating noise or pollutants, detrimental effect upon value, potential development of other properties, and an extraordinary potential for accidents or danger to public safety. The roundabout. I don't know who designed this land. I don't know if it was the developer, if it was MoDOT, but have you ever driven through an area where you're just like, what wackadoodle planned this? I don't know who idea it was to plan a roundabout as a center section to somebody's house and all this traffic, but it is what it is. It's just a bad layout.
You have 10 seconds.
But y'all have the ability to say no. We're looking for a permanent plan, and we're looking for help. Y'all were elected to represent us, not multi-million-dollar developers. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacob Biscoff.
Good evening. This is my first chance to speak to you guys, so this is going to be pretty exciting.
Give us your address, please.
Burnley Drive, Streets of Caledonia. I think everyone in this room knows by now that these 2 cups, the auto center and the drive-through, are not only bad ideas, but more importantly, it's not what the community wants. I'm not going to take my time to dwell on that. I want to inject a more positive and collaborative approach. Our issues are not about being anti-business or anti-growth. It's about ensuring that this development is compatible with the surrounding residential area and protects the long-term interests of the community. Along with 600 plus homes, right now there's a hotel and apartment complex being built in the area. There are also heaps of people utilizing the Rush soccer fields and the new Level Up Gaming Center throughout the year. If I were patrons of these establishments, I'd rather see a high-end restaurant, a sit-down coffee shop, a yoga studio, or even a sports bar. Something residents could walk to for a nice dinner, have somewhere to go during soccer games, or even meet the neighbors to catch up. These are the type of businesses that would foster a communal atmosphere and bring people together, something similar to the streets of St. Charles. In this day and age of social media, it's always hard enough to bring people to face-to-face. Communal establishments will invite people to linger, sit, and talk rather than grab and go. Neighbors will begin to recognize each other, building familiarity and trust, something drive-through models simply don't support. Residents will be being invested in these places that feel like ours, not just another interchangeable drive-through. This strengthens long-term community stability and stewardship. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm trying to highlight the golden opportunity you as a city council have sitting in your laps. As each of you holds your position because your constituents place their trust in you. That trust comes with the expectation that our voices will be heard and that decisions will reflect the needs and values of the community. The City Council is meant to be the level of government closest to the people, where residents have a meaningful voice in shaping their futures of their neighborhood. The council has a great opportunity right now. You have the opportunity to show that the development in this city is guided by community input, thoughtful planning, and long-term impact, not just by those who can build fastest, the fastest or spend the most. You have the opportunity to set a precedent that growth here will happen with residents, not to them. Listening to constituents is not a barrier to progress, it's a foundation of good governance. Residents bring lived experiences. We know our streets, traffic patterns, safety concerns, and neighborhood character. When we raise concerns, we are not resisting change, we're asking to be partners in development that truly fits this area. You were elected to represent us. This is your opportunity to listen, to engage, and to prioritize resident-driven development that reflects what the people of this area want.
You have 15 seconds.
Thank you for your time and your community deserves.
Thank you, sir. Janelle Biscoff?
Hello, good evening. Janelle Bischoff, Burnley Drive, Streets of Caledonia. Hi. After the August 7th City Council meeting, I spoke with both developers, Brian and Elliot, and they told us that the planned businesses going in this parcel of land would not be intrusive. They said they would have reduced hours and that the businesses would not be something we'd be unhappy with. They said this parcel of land is small potatoes compared to the land that they own across the street. This may be a no big deal sort of issue to them, but this is a major issue to us. The city should have never allowed this to be C2 to begin with. P&Z is supposed to ensure public welfare, safety, and minimal, if any, neighborhood impact. These two proposed conditional uses are anything but small potatoes or minimal impact. Two wrongs don't make a right, and even though we find ourselves voting on this tonight, it doesn't mean the city has to continue to ignore the meaningful repercussions to us residents. Today I double-checked the feet from curb to curb for the scooters drive-through from the beginning of a resident's home and where the scooters would be, and it was 34 feet. Took that same tape measure, measured from Steve Casella to Debbie Cook. That's how close this would be. This is incredibly close. Would you want a drive-through or enjoy that close to your home from here to here? I can walk to this business in 90 seconds. We have to live at these businesses day in and day out. There will be no escaping them. There will be no moving on to other agenda items like you all get to do. I guarantee the landowner would not be okay with 100% drive-through business being this close to his home at the entrance of this neighborhood. We have put a ton of time and effort into this. How much time has the developer put into finding other alternative businesses that won't impact the livability and property values of our home? How much time did P&Z put into researching these businesses before saying to approve them? We have called, emailed, demonstrated that the conditional use permits didn't pass your ordinances required, or don't pass them required, the ordinances required for approval. It doesn't follow the comprehensive plan. MoDOT has denied the right out. They haven't even got a permit from the fire department to review the site plan, which I'm told is highly unusual and strange. A council member even asked what the fire department said about these businesses, and the response at that time was unknown, and it's still unknown. I believe no one's that concerned right now of the overall impacts to us residents, and those facts show that. Please show that you are with your vote tonight. This shouldn't be this hard. You shouldn't need this much convincing. Why do we have to endure the negatives of these conditional uses? Not one resident or citizen has gotten up here and shown support for either of these. Zero. Steve Costello told us 2 times today, quote, "We never always get everything we want as a whole. None of this is what we want. The residents' homes were built first, and therefore you have to consider us in your decisions. We want safety, no daily annoyances that disrupt the peaceful enjoyment of our homes, and for home values not to drop because the richest landowner in America doesn't want to make better decisions for the residents of the city of O'Fallon."
You have 10 seconds.
Dan Kroenke has other options. We do not. Please do not vote this tonight.
Les Pirtle?
Thank you, Mayor. Les Pirtle, 606 Strathclyde Drive. I know that Dobbs is out, but I haven't heard anything to say that something similar might not go in. So I've adjusted what I was going to say just a little bit. I won't take time to get into a lot of details as those are being so eloquently spoken to by my many friends in the audience. I just want to have it on record that I would like to see the proposed scooters or any type of drive-through move to where the Dobbs Tire Shop was supposed to be, and to have the plan for any auto shop eliminated completely. As Huey of Huey Lewis and the News stated so eloquently in Back to the Future, guys, I'm sorry, but auto shops are just too darn loud. Thank you.
Thank you. John Cole?
Good evening, Mayor Hennessy and City Council members. My name is John Cole, and I live at 308 Castleford Boulevard in the streets of Caledonia. Tonight, you'll be deciding on whether to grant a conditional use permit to Scooter's Coffee. In recent City Council meetings, you heard from many of the residents of the streets of Caledonia in opposition to the granting of this permit. A number of you also participated in the November Planning and Zoning Commission meeting when this permit was considered. Beginning with the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, the residents of the streets of Caledonia have raised concerns regarding the impact of this business on the value of our homes and the safety of our streets. These are important issues that you should weigh carefully because the avoidance of substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood is an explicit legal requirement for the granting of a conditional use permit. Unfortunately, there does not appear to have been substantive critical analysis by either the Planning and Zoning Commission or the petitioner on whether this legal requirement has been met. The Planning and Zoning Commission report for this request simply makes an unsupported, conclusory statement that the proposed uses should not cause substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood. The report is completely silent as to how they reached that conclusion. Similarly, it would also appear that meeting this requirement was never a serious concern to the petitioner requesting this permit. In the November Planning and Zoning meeting, the petitioner was asked to respond to the concerns of the residents. Mr. Reed, representing the petitioner, replied as follows: "To be honest with you, I don't really have anything to say with the concern. This is C2, and we're conforming with C2. Unfortunately, later statements by the petitioner have simply continued this theme, and they have not made any serious effort to address the concerns of the residents. Before you vote tonight, I would urge you to ask both the petitioner and the Planning and Zoning Department to provide the residents and the City Council with a clear explanation of how they concluded that there would be no injury to the value of the surrounding property or the safety of our neighborhood. Thank you for your careful consideration of these concerns in advance of your vote this evening."
Steve Pearl?
Good evening, council members. My name's Steve Pearl. I'm a resident of the streets of Caledonia, 606 Highland Prairie Drive. I am speaking about the remaining commercial project requesting a conditional use permit in our neighborhood, Bill 7799. The project sits at the gateway to a high-end residential community and directly beside conservation land, O'Day Park, and planned greenway trails. The C2 district requires that commercial uses protect adjacent areas from incompatible impacts. This proposal does not. The combined scale, lighting, traffic, operational intensity would fundamentally alter the character of this corridor and diminish the values and experience of the families who already live here. Residents purchased their homes in good faith, trusting that the city's ordinances and development standards would be applied consistently and fairly when new commercial uses are proposed next to their homes. This CUP fails the basic tests of compatibility, buffering, protection that the zoning code requires. Tonight, I'm asking you to vote with your conscience and with the long-term interests of the current residents in mind. This is not neighborhood scale, and this is not the right location. For these reasons, we respectfully ask you to deny the conditional use permit. Thank you for your time and your service to the city.
Zach Summers.
My name's Zach Summers. I live at 524 Green Gauge Timber Drive. I'd just like to ask that you guys vote no on bill number 7799. That's all.
Thank you. Rachel Wabi? Michelle Wabi.
Hi, my name's Rochelle Wabi. I live at 508 Green Gauge Timber Drive. If this development passes, out my back door you would see Bush Wildlife, which is a 3,000 nature conservatory with beautiful animals, and out my front door you would see a busy drive-through. If the City of O'Fallon would like to continue to encourage people to build and spend the amount of money that we have on our homes, it is essential that you help protect our investment. We don't need a formal study to know that a traffic-heavy drive-through within a stone's throw of million-dollar homes is not going to help property values at all. It will surely decrease them. We all built here not because we are anti-development. In fact, quite the opposite. We built here with the understanding that this area would be similar to the streets of St. Charles, hence the name of our neighborhood, the streets of Caledonia, an upscale area with many walkable amenities that families can enjoy. We are presented with the unique opportunity to help our city build an area similar to the streets of St. Charles, a safe haven for families to enjoy. One that is up to standard with the average price of homes directly next to it. Well, I'm going to skip that because Dobbs Tire Center was taken away. But not only would approve a drive-through be negligent for homeowners financially, it would also be negligent from an aesthetic standpoint as a city. Doesn't necessarily make sense to have that close to a nature conservatory. But also, it would be very negligent from a safety standpoint. We have addressed many times in many different ways that the traffic in this area is too much for it to handle. I can say this with confidence because the amount of traffic that we're currently receiving is already too much, while we have the current construction next to us not completed yet. Often we have our streets are filled with children riding bikes, families walking their pets, neighbors spending time together, residents frequently traveling by golf cart, and this could suddenly become so unsafe that we no longer are able to enjoy the very things that led us to pay such a high price for our homes. If the residents who live here every single day are clearly stating that this plan is drastically unsafe, if that is not enough, the fact that MoDOT has flat out denied the requests for the right turns needed for the proposed access road into the roundabout, that should definitely be raising some red flags. If this development is pushed through, I feel like we would know exactly how the City of O'Fallon prioritizes its taxpayers versus developers. And my husband and I are a younger family. This will not be the last home that we build. And depending on how we feel like we are advocated for, we'll determine if we would like to continue to build within the city limits or avoid it like the plague. We really appreciate your willingness to compromise, to hear us, and to advocate us by voting no. Thank you.
Thank you. Rose Zook.
My name's Rose Zook.
I'll let you go ahead, and if you get something to plug in there, I'll let you start before you start talking. That way your time doesn't start until you start.
If I could get it in there.
Jason? He's coming down to help you.
Oh, I got it. There we go. Oh, and I live in O'Fallon, just not in Caledonia. And I did measurements as well through Google. This is the subject area for Dobbs. I know it's off the table. And this is what it looks like from Google. Okay. They wanted 52 parking lots. I measured from the roundabout to the proposed entrance for both the scooters and for Dobbs, and it was only 288 feet. You're talking about a roundabout that's on a hill. It's people coming up the hill from DD and trying to get into this road for scooters and Dobbs. And then it's from the proposed driveway up to Caledonia, where the gas station is, it was another 400 feet. And the one just from the roundabout is not enough room. And I know they talked about a road in between that I think MoDOT has not approved. And if we're wanting to put something there for C2, put in a coffee shop, like, not a coffee shop, I'm sorry, a bakery, a medical kind of building. And there are scooters. And she mentioned 6 properties because I remember them talking about a bank that was also going to go in this position. And that's where the scooters is. And it shows the road, but I think MoDOT has not approved that. And again, if you look at the roundabout coming from up the hill, this property is not really level with the rest of the ground. You can see part of it, and then it starts sloping down. I have driven by there. I use that gas station. This was Planning and Zoning's recommendation. The proposed use at this location will contribute to and promote the public welfare and convenience of the public. And I think, as everybody else has spoken, it won't. The use should not cause substantial injury to the value of other property in the neighborhood. The use should not dominate the immediate neighborhood. Nobody believes this, and everybody who's come up and talked about it has said the same thing, that it will devalue their homes. It's enough that all this is C2, where they wanted to put McDonald's. If you look at this high-tech corridor, that's where the credit union is, and in between the credit union and SSM,
You have 15 seconds.
that's all high-tech. They could have picked that and chosen that area. And I still think we can also rezone this area to just C0 and get better use out of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lee Blaylock? Or Les?
Good morning, good afternoon, committee, late afternoon, excuse me. I'm here over Bill 7809.
Les, if you give us your name and address for the record, please.
I apologize. Les Blaylock, 958 Midpoint, O'Fallon, Missouri, 63366. This is a combination proposal, looks like, from what I can tell. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My concern is the way this is being proposed. It appears to me that there are about 3 or 4 reasons I would like to ask you to remove this until it can be further worked out. I'm not going to tell you I'm against it or necessarily for it. I am telling you I think it needs work. This proposal some way has had a negotiation, if I understand it correctly, for over 20 plus years of tax abatement attached to it. Tax abatements can be used properly and can help, but 20 years is a long time to utilize property and not pay a tax on it. I understand that applies to the sports complex only, but that's still a lot of money to do without. This could be negotiated in timetable and percent in a different percentage that both parties could benefit. It does not need to be all or nothing. And I'd like to see our city manager approach it that way. I understand not wanting $140 worth of taxes. I don't understand 27 years without them. Over the first few years of construction, they're going to have to be using Bryan Road and Veterans and our overpass to great extent, if I've got the location accurate. If that's true, we're taking one of the worst intersections and one of the poorest constructed roads we have in our city and subject it to beating again with no additional funds. I think that's a mistake, and it doesn't have to be. Concessions of this magnitude that affect our city need to be an instance that this committee and its residents and voters are in union.
You have 15 seconds.
We're not. We need to get there. My last statement, I hope I can get through. We occupy one of the finest cities in this state. Property values, strong education, geographic position. We have a lot to sell and a strong, low crime rate. We can negotiate from a position of power rather than capitulate to a dictator wanting to use our property. Let's negotiate is my message, please. And I would hope to get our 2 minutes back sometime.
Michelle Williams.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Hennessy. My name is Michelle Williams. I live at 7015 Bentley Park Drive. I've lived there with my husband for over 20 years, and we have 3 kids very active in sports. I'm here tonight to urge you to reconsider the sports park for the planned off of Bryan Road. I was shocked to see it didn't pass. I know this is one of the city's strategic initiatives. We've been waiting for this. We've been asking for it. And what are we thinking not providing it? This is an opportunity to bring people into O'Fallon and give those who live here a place to compete, a place to hang out, and a place to build community. Currently, parents and teens are driving to places like City Center, Chesterfield, and even to Kansas City for these same things that they could enjoy in their own backyard. We have some of the fastest growing schools in the state, right here in O'Fallon and in Wentzville. If O'Fallon doesn't proceed, I'm sure Wentzville or Cottleville will. Youth sports has proven to be a booming industry. Not only would it be great for the city, it would be great for the community. We have the opportunity to be a destination spot for teams. Games, hotels, entertainment, food, all in one spot, all in O'Fallon. I would have dreamed for that. It's ironic that Bryan Road resurface was also one of the topics in last week's meeting. It's my understanding that it would take at least 4 years to even get that started. So why are we not improving this property now before the road has to be resurfaced? It seems like common sense to me. We need companies to develop in our area. We have people who are willing to invest in O'Fallon and in the infrastructure of O'Fallon. It appears some of the council members were concerned with incentives given. What's wrong with giving companies incentives to build here? They're not the first, they're not the last, and it's happened before. The overall good that it'll do for the community, the local businesses, and the youth is immeasurable. The tax revenue alone would be much more than the current revenue that this location is providing now. We are taking away an opportunity to develop an area in O'Fallon that will serve the youth of O'Fallon and the community. Dogwood is already part of the community, so why does it matter if they move? We have two major interstates, I-70 and I-64. Why are we not building around those corridors and leaving the center for the community and the people to enjoy? I hope that you'll reconsider this measure, and I ask that you would think of the kids and the community when you do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And our last speaker, Michelle Woods.
Hello, and thank you, Council, for allowing me to speak. I live at 154 Tennessee Walker Way in O'Fallon. I'm here as the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of St. Charles County and also a housing advocate. And I want to express my concerns about the proposed moratorium on multifamily housing. I have spoken with Councilmember Taylor and just want to raise the issues that could be unintended consequences of this proposal. Affordable housing is very hard to find and to build in our community. We do have a very strong community, a strong economy, and every day I see people being priced out of home ownership. In July, only 45 homes in all of St. Charles County were listed for under $300,000. So multifamily developments are a more affordable option, and we need to keep our service workforce, nurses, first responders, teachers, young professionals. We need to attract and keep them here in our community. I think about the kids that are born and raised here and can't afford to live here. So multifamily developments are one answer to the affordable housing issues that we face. So just ask you to consider that in your decisions. Also just want to state that Habitat for Humanity is accepting applications February 1st through 28th for our homeownership program. We're building 46 homes over the next 10 years in a community in Wentzville, and this is open to all St. Charles County residents. So, thank you.
Thank you. That is the last speaker I have. Brings us to ward reports. Ward 1.
Thank you, Mayor. As we have heard about the comments from last week, I was one of the council members that those remarks were directed towards. And I just want to be clear that while it took me a few days to process everything that had happened after the mayor reached out to me, I want to be very clear that I accept his apology. This is not a free pass, but I believe that in my heart that it's best to treat this as a learning opportunity for everybody. Situations like this remind us that emotions can get the best of us, particularly when we're passionate about the work that we have been entrusted to do by the residents of O'Fallon. However, as a council, we must hold ourselves in the highest standard of professionalism and stay focused on doing the best possible job of representing not only the city, but most importantly, the residents of this great city. And that responsibility starts with us. That's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mr. Roth.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I do agree with my partner here. I do accept the mayor's apology on comments that were made. I like to sit back. I like to listen to everybody. And I like to get all the information. Sometimes people think you're weak or soft when you do that. Let me tell you, I'm not weak or soft to some of these other council members or anything. I don't like words to be put in my mouth. I don't like people to speak for me. I think we need to work on our integrity a little bit as a group. We're all good people up here. We have a lot of hard decisions to make. Sometimes they go our way, sometimes they don't. But nitpicking and tearing us, calling us names, doesn't get anywhere. We need to be more professional. We need to listen to the people a little more. And we just need to act a little more civilized human than what we have been the last couple months. That's all I got to say, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Ward 2.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you.
Mr. Boyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, kind of reiterating what they're saying down there. As a community and as a council up here, we are going to win or lose together. We need to have that civility and the support of one another. So there's a lot of hard decisions we have to make. It's not easy, as John just said. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't. But we have to work together as a team because we win and we lose collectively. So we want to win because O'Fallon's great, and it's what we're all up here for. That's everyone up here has got the heart for service to the city. So I know that, I feel that. And then outside of all of that, March 11th is the senior fair. So if you are interested, and it's not high school seniors, this is senior of older people. Are those in advanced age, I guess. The 11th of March, come on out. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cascella, Ward 3.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to again thank everybody for coming out, sharing their concerns. You know, being elected into an official, you're representing your ward. More importantly, you're representing the entire city. We are looking out for the best interests of 100,000 people, very close to 100,000 people. Very hard job to do. And, you know, emotions can get the best of us. We are all humans. I commend the mayor for his apology. It means more to me to see human nature in action and then correcting it with a public apology. So thank you for that.
Thanks, sir. Ward 4.
I appreciate the apology that was offered. However, I haven't had time to calm down. I think, like Councilmember Wexler, maybe because I wasn't reached out with an apology. I want to be very clear about something, you know. I don't believe that this apology would have occurred had the incident not been captured on a live microphone. You know, I've been on this council for 9 months, and during that entire time, I have consistently witnessed the same pattern of behavior: bullying, condescending tone, and a lack of basic respect. This wasn't a one-time incident. It's been ongoing, and it's something I've observed repeatedly since taking office. The first time I personally experienced this behavior was after a council member's company was awarded a $23.5 million contract with the city. Councilmember Ragsdale and I raised serious and legitimate concerns and spoke publicly about a potential conflict of interest and possible state statutory violations. And those concerns were not clearly well received at all. And rather than addressing the substance of those concerns, you know, the mayor took issue with the fact that we were discussing it publicly. We were told that we don't air our dirty laundry. That raises a fundamental question of why. Is it to protect transparency, or is it to protect conduct that should be openly examined? The public has a right to know when legitimate concerns are raised by their elected officials. This situation occurred during a strategic meeting over the summer. All staff were instructed to leave the room, and once staff exited, Councilmember Ragsdale and I were yelled at by the mayor. And anyone who knows me knows that I don't accept being yelled at, and I responded accordingly. But the reality is this: no one should attempt to direct or influence the voice or the vote of any council member. Each vote is independent, and an effort to put pressure on the process undermines the role that we were elected to serve. It's fundamentally wrong. The role of a mayor should be to lead, to be an example, to set the tone for professionalism, accountability, and respect. Instead, a culture has been created that is hostile, intimidating, and dismissive. I've seen this culture extend beyond the dais and into interactions involving staff. I've had staff question why I needed information related to items that I'm voting on, implying that it should just simply rubber stamp recommendations given by staff. I've had comments made suggesting that questions I raised were not my own. And everyone up here witnessed when a council member on this dais told me to shut up while I was speaking. This isn't healthy. This is not healthy leadership, it's not constructive, and it's not respectful. And if this is happening to elected officials, I'm deeply concerned how staff and appointed boards are treated. Commissions such as planning and zoning, on which the mayor serves and votes, are not elected by the people. Yet power has increasingly shifted away from elected council members and toward appointed boards that the mayor appoints, serves on, and votes with. Developments that are zoned correctly in past planning and zoning never even come before the council. That represents a significant transfer of authority away from elected representatives and toward a structure in one seat. And when bullying is used to influence council votes, it's raised serious concerns about how appointed boards may be pressured behind closed doors. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not perfect. You see, I have a temper, and my mouth will fly off in a second. I've spoken out of frustrations. I've name-called like many of us. I've used language that I'm not proud of at all. I mean, I said up here one time that somebody was mansplaining to me. I'm not proud of saying that. But I realize when I sit on this dais, I'm not representing myself. I'm representing the residents who put me here. So when I'm called an effing idiot, that insult is not directed solely at me. It's directed at the people I represent, the residents of my ward, because I'm here to be their voice. All of this, it has to end today. I'm calling for my fellow council members to make long overdue changes, to restore power back from one individual back to the people. I'm calling for developments that pass planning and zoning to once again come before this council. Planning and zoning is a recommendation board, not an approval authority that bypasses elected officials. And I would like that to be put on the next workshop, staff. I'm calling for our meetings to be opened back up and for residents to be given back their right to speak freely. It's their First Amendment rights. You know, I've brought that issue up before, and I was told by the mayor that I don't want that. Oh, I do. I very much do want that. No longer should residents be limited to speaking only on agenda items. They should be able to come before us and raise any concerns that they have. And I'm calling for the end of the games. The repeated tabling of issues, forcing residents to come back again and again to speak on the same matter. The constant reconsideration of votes you don't like, the delays that occurs when it becomes unclear whether the votes are there. Whatever the reason, it's not right, it's not transparent, and it's not fair to our residents. It all undermines trust, and I will not be part of that. This council doesn't belong to one person, it belongs to the people. And if I've not made it clear today, every day before and every day after, I've drawn the line. I will not be bullied. I will not be silenced. And I will not rubber stamp decisions made behind closed doors. I was elected to be a voice for my ward, and I will continue to speak loudly, clearly, and without apology for the residents who put their trust in me. The people sent us here to represent them. It's about time we start acting like it.
Mr. Kewen?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, as Councilmember Taylor said, we're all human, we all make mistakes. I've worked alongside Bill since 2004 when I was an alderman, next to him also being an alderman. I've watched him as an alderman, as a councilman, and as a mayor. And for the last 27 years, I've watched him spend a great deal of his time and effort focusing on what is best for this city. He made a mistake. He apologized. You know, I've made mistakes. I apologize when I make mistakes.
So I forgive him. I think it takes a lot of guts to stand up here, or sit up here, on TV, in front of you nice folks, and apologize for his behavior from a week ago. Whether you agree or disagree, that's my position. So as far as stuff that's going on and decisions being made behind closed doors, I have no idea what Councilmember Taylor is talking about. Everything that is decided right here on live television in front of a live audience. I've been doing this for a long time. I have an awful lot of people who've known me for a long time in this role. And if you talk to any of them, I think you'll find that I am an open book. In fact, some of you folks have called me on these items, and I've listened to you, and I've talked, and I had interest in what you had to say. That's the role of the job. That's what we're up here to do. You know, and if I'm have some good luck, then by golly, I'll have another 3 years to serve. But we'll see what that goes. My point again is simply, look, we're all human. Take the sum of the man, 27 years. That's a long time to be servicing the city, to be dedicating his time and his energy to making this city as great as it is now. Thank you.
Thank you. Ward 5.
Thank you, Mayor. I know the comments weren't pointed toward me, but I still appreciate the apology, and I think it took a lot to sit there and do that. On a lighter note, the Ancient Order of Hibernians is having a trivia night Saturday, March 7th at the Elks Lodge. They still have some tables available. It's $30 a person. It's going to be a wonderful evening. If you want information on it, I know the mayor is a member of the Hibernians, and you can get a hold of the mayor, or you can get a hold of myself if you're interested in getting a table. But come out. They do need to fill some more tables, so it'd be a good time. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you. My ward report tonight is going to be a lot longer than normal. Like Ms. Taylor, I was one of the 4 effing idiots, and unlike Councilmember Wexler, I too did not receive a personal apology for being one of the ones that those comments were directed to. So the apology, unfortunately, and I'm sorry to make other members of the council upset, but the apology doesn't really mean very much to me since the apology was not given to me. But anyway, I'm going to begin my ward report tonight with a brief civics lesson. I realize that there are members on this council who believe they do not need one, but based on the behavior that's taken place on this dais, it's clear that everyone does. Our government, whether federal, state, or local, is made up of 3 equal branches: the judicial, the executive, and the legislative. In this city, the mayor represents the executive branch, and the city council represents the legislative branch. We are all equal. This council does not work for the mayor, and the city staff works for all of us, not just one individual. There has been a long-standing lack of decorum on this dais that predates my election in 2023. I'm not talking about the nostalgia for the days when everyone wore suits or business attire. I'm talking about something far more serious. That's name-calling, bullying, and political gamesmanship. It is embarrassing. One clear example of how this behavior involves how votes have been handled. On February 27th, 2025, Councilmember Roth's first full meeting, we considered Bill 7725, once again related to the Tom Ginnever Cool Springs project. Council members from Ward 5 and Ward 1 voted consistently with how they had previously voted, no. Councilmember Roth also voted no. One council member was absent that night, so the bill failed with a vote of 5 yeas and 4 nays. Historically, when votes like this occurred, there was a familiar pattern. Someone from the majority would vote no so the bill could later be reconsidered. That did not happen this particular time. So what was the solution? Councilmember Roth was pressured, bullied into being the one to request reconsideration. At the very next meeting, the bill was reconsidered and passed, not because anything materially changed, but because of political maneuvering and intimidation. Notably, both council members Roth and Bibb requested reconsideration, even though council member Bibb was not eligible to do so, as he was on the prevailing side of the vote that night. This is not good governance. Councilmember Taylor has already talked about Castle, so I'll leave that alone, but where she shared that we were told we don't air our dirty laundry, I do want to say that my response then is exactly the same as it is now. That approach did not work, which is why several media outlets reached out to both me and her about what's been going on here in the city. Let's talk about the workshop process and how it is sometimes used to influence how we vote. At the meeting where we voted on the proposed sports complex that included tax incentives, Councilwoman Taylor wanted to invite a representative from the Show Me Institute to provide information on tax incentives. She was told no, that only staff are allowed to address us during the workshop. As a compromise, the speaker was allowed 10 minutes during the presiding officer's report. But that 10 minutes was sandwiched between an economic development presentation that lasted over an hour in workshop and another speaker during the presiding officer's report who was given the final word on the project. That sequencing made it very clear that the city wanted us to vote no, that the city wanted us to vote yes. In the November workshop, we were presented with a justification for why the council no longer receives agendas on Fridays, but instead on Mondays, just 3 days before our Thursday meetings. In the case of this week, Monday being a holiday, we did not receive our agendas for this meeting tonight until Tuesday. Most of us have full-time jobs. We are left trying to research complex issues during lunch breaks and late evenings, often with supporting documentation exceeding 400, sometimes 1,000 pages. This is not a reasonable expectation if the goal is informed decision-making. At the August 14th workshop, we received a 22-minute presentation defending the bid process. It presented a one-sided explanation of why a sitting council member's bid was selected. During that presentation, the city attorney repeatedly stated that our obligation is to select the, quote, lowest and best bid. Yet moments before the vote, when several council members raised concerns about a council member personally profiting from taxpayer funds, the same city attorney was asked whether there would be legal implications if we did not select the lowest bidder. The response shifted to stating that once responsibility is established, we are obligated to choose the lowest bid. That contradiction occurred just hours after emphasizing lowest and best, and it happened moments before a vote. Was that a strong-arm tactic? Did it influence newer council members who feared legal consequences? Those are fair questions. Transparency is not disloyalty. Accountability is not disruption. And I, too, will not be bullied into silence when it comes to informing residents about how this council truly operates and how some of its members are treated. As for the events at the last meeting, I did not hear the comment when it occurred. I learned about it the next morning when residents began reaching out to me. Regardless of whether it was captured by a hot microphone, name-calling toward elected officials during a city meeting is unacceptable. And to be very clear, this is not about the profanity that was used. We are all human. We, as people, sometimes say things that we shouldn't. This was not the issue. The issue for me was the disrespect. According to the handbook that some council members received upon taking office, and I say some because I never received one, a core value is trust and respect. Quote, we maintain an open, honest, and compassionate environment valuing and appreciating all individuals and keeping commitments. Apparently that value only applies to those willing to fall in line. The apology email that followed last week stated, I want to apologize for my actions and words. But it did not specify to whom that apology was directed. Was it to the 4 council members that were insulted? Was it to the residents of O'Fallon who deserve better from their elected leadership? Or was it simply because the comments became public? Those questions matter. because leadership is not measured by what is said behind closed doors, but how we conduct ourselves in public, under pressure, and in disagreement. And that is a standard that our residents deserve. Thank you.
Brings to our city administrator's report, Mr. Snowden.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the contributions of several staff members who are reaching milestone anniversaries this month. Engineering Administrative Assistant Sarah Bernhester and Street Maintenance Worker Cortland Curry have been with us for 5 years. PD Training Coordinator Kara Ellis, GIS Technician Rob Lamley, and City Clerk Bess Bacher have served the citizens for 15 years. Building and Code Enforcement Manager Chris Gaw and Environmental Services Superintendent Jim Winzera have been a part of Team O'Fallon for 20 years. Police officers Tim Wagner and Sid McDonald have served our city for 25 years. And last but certainly not least, our Citizens First Manager Condon Stott is our longest serving current employee and has been with us for 40 years. Wow. I want to thank all of these individuals for being such an integral part of Team O'Fallon for all these years, and that's all I have for tonight, sir.
Thank you. Brings to old business. Bill 7798 has been withdrawn at the start of the meeting, so there'll be no action taken on that. Brings to Bill 7799. I have a motion to remove it from the table and open for business.
Motion to remove from the table, Costello.
Second, Thompson.
Motion by Councilman Cascola, second by Councilman Thompson to remove from the table. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No. You want to leave it on the table?
Which one is this?
The scooters. You want to leave it on the table?
Oh,
This is take it off the table.
Okay, yeah, I'm good.
So is your vote a yes, ma'am?
Yes.
9 yes. Motion for second reading.
Costello.
Motion by Cascola. Do I have a second?
Thompson.
Second by Councilman Thompson. All in favor? Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7799, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance granting a conditional use permit to the owners of Scooters Coffee to allow a coffee shop with drive-through in a C2 general business district under certain conditions on a certain tract of land located at 130 Del Riata Boulevard within the city of O'Fallon, Missouri.
Motion for final passage.
Costello.
Motion by Cascola, second.
Thompson.
Second by Councilman Thompson. Questions or comments? Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just really concerned about the scooters. I understand that if we issue a CUP, that goes only with scooters, and that if for some reason scooters were to go away, that CUP would die with it. However, my concern is if they are going to build a structure with the drive-through, there's no other choice but to put another drive-through later, and it very well could be something that could be very detrimental to the neighbors. That's one of my concerns. I know there's also been talk about moving scooters to the Dobbs location since Dobbs is going away. But if that's the case, do new plans need to be made? And if so, I'm not comfortable voting on something that we don't have plans for. And then finally, I just want to say to the second speaker, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember who that was, but you resonated with me when you talked about the kids in the neighborhood. A friend of mine, she had one daughter, and unfortunately, her little girl was hit by stepmom when the stepmom was just slow rate of speed was pulling out of the driveway, and it killed her, and that was a low rate of speed. So I am very concerned about all of this being so close to neighborhoods with so many little kids running around.
Okay. Anybody else? Ms. Taylor.
I don't remember who one of the speakers said this, though, but it really resonated. I agree that our system is broken, that this should have been stopped at P&Z, whoever that was. I was listening to all the speakers, and I just kept thinking, what if this was in our backyard? It's real easy for us to sit up here and vote for something across town, and, I don't live there. I don't really know the area. I don't really know how it's affected. Councilmember Roth earlier told me, you know, he went and drove by. He went and scouted it out and everything. He took that initiative, and then he tells me he was almost hit driving there to look for it. So all I keep thinking is, yeah, what if this was our backyard and our children, our grandchildren playing? We got to do better. I'm voting no.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Council members, cast your vote.
The voting is closed.
7 yes, 2 no. Bill 7799 now becomes ordinance number
7274.
So what does this mean? So what does this mean? Can someone explain what this means?
Means it gets her CUP.
So
the CUP is passed. Katie, what was the ordinance number?
7274.
7274?
Yes, sir.
this was done to placate people. Okay.
Thank you. You will not get great votes from us next time.
Vote Costco out.
I do have another question. Does this mean the scooters approved in the lot that was, is this just, I'm confused with.
All right, this brings us to Bill 7809. Do I have a motion to reconsider?
Ragsdale.
Motion by Councilman Ragsdale. Do I have a second?
Boyer.
Second by Councilman Boyer. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to Bill 7809. Motion for final passage.
Ragsdale.
Motion by Councilman Ragsdale. Do I have a second?
Boyer.
Second by Councilman Boyer. Questions or comments? Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you. This particular ordinance was very difficult for me. I spoke in great length with Mr. Blaylock just yesterday, and he could tell that this was really getting to me with how this whole everything came about. And I want to say, first of all, I was not bullied or intimidated by anybody to bring this up for reconsideration. I'm bringing this up because the very next day, I actually had a conversation with Andy Patel, and he was able to explain things to me that I had been asking for and was not getting adequate answers on earlier. And so because of the new information that I was able to get from Andy Patel is why I've asked for this to be reconsidered. And I am very comfortable with the information that I got from him. So as I told Andy Patel, and I know that some people are not going to like this, others will, and others know that this is something that really weighed on my heart, but I will be a yes vote on this.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Taylor.
This is probably one of the most difficult votes I probably had since I've been on the council. I met with the developer after last week's vote, and I had a positive impression of him. I thought he was sincere. The development, you know, I'm not against the development. I think it's neat. You know, I can see the potential definitely there. But, you know, my vote comes down to two reasons. I talked last time about the tax abatements and how much I was against that, especially the extended amount of time. You know, but most importantly, I heard, you know, overwhelmingly, I think by residents in our area that are against this, you know, expressing their opposition. And after I voted no, a lot reached out thanking me for the no vote. So, you know, the most important thing was, you know, I give my word to my residents to be their voice. So I'm definitely going to be voting no still with this one.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Thompson?
Thank you, Mayor. So I just wanted to say I was a yes vote before. I'll be a yes vote again tonight. I'm all for this project. I think that it's really important to bring something like this to our community for all of the reasons that the speaker who spoke about this mentioned. And I'll just say I've got 2 kids who were active in sports, and the amount of money that I've spent in other states and other cities on their sports tourism for their tournaments, hotel stays, restaurants, all of that. I would love to have the opportunity to just drive up the street and go to a sports complex here where we can benefit from everybody that's coming in from out of town. And I think it's been said, if we don't build it, somebody's going to, and we may as well benefit from that. So, yeah, I'm in full support of this.
Thank you. Mr. Kuhn?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guarantee I got more phone calls on this than I've gotten on any issue in at least a year. And almost to a person, each one of them were saying, why did this fail? What can we do? Is there still a chance that we can get this passed? Every single person that I talked to thought that this was a great idea. It's going to bring tax dollars to the city. It's going to bring tourism to the city. So I was yes before. I'm going to be yes again.
Anybody else? Seeing none. Council members, cast your vote. Seven yes, 2 no. Bill 7809 passes and becomes ordinance number 7275. Thank you, Katie. Brings us to Bill 7810. Ms. Taylor?
Oh, I was going to make an motion to remove this.
You want to move it from the table, or are you going to withdraw it?
Withdraw, that's it.
Okay.
Me and our attorney, Mr. O'Keefe, is going to work on something new and resubmit it. So yeah, I would like to withdraw this.
Do I need anything else?
Second, Costello.
Motion to withdraw from Councilmember Taylor, second by Councilmember Costello, was that? Yeah. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? This item has been withdrawn. Brings us to Bill 7814. I need a motion to amend the text to the .2 version and the .2 version of Exhibit B.
So move, QN.
Ragsdale.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second by Councilman Ragsdale. Questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Motion for second reading?
QN.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Ragsdale.
Second by Councilman Ragsdale. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7814.2, second reading and consideration for adoption. An ordinance approving a petition to establish the 1155 Technology Drive Community Improvement District pursuant to section 671401 to 671571 of the revised statutes of Missouri, creating the 1155 Technology Drive Community Improvement District as a political subdivision, directing the city clerk of the city of O'Fallon to report the creation of the Community Improvement District to the Missouri Department of Economic Development, approving a cooperation agreement, and authorizing certain other actions.
Motion for final passage.
QN.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Ragsdale.
Second by Councilman Ragsdale. Questions or comments? Cast your vote, folks.
The voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Bill 7814.2 becomes ordinance number
7276.
7276. Thank you, Katie. Brings us to Bill 7818. Motion for second reading.
QN.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Boyer.
Second by Councilman Boyer. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Bill 7818 for your adoption, an ordinance granting a conditional use permit to the owners of Postal Capital to allow equipment rental in a C2 PUD General Business District Planned Unit Development under certain conditions on a certain tract of land located at 1120 Technology Drive within the city of O'Fallon, Missouri. Motion for final passage.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Boyer.
Second by Councilman Boyer. Questions or comments? Council members, cast your vote.
The voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Bill 7818 passed, becomes ordinance number
7277.
7277. Next is the unified public hearing. As the applicant has requested this to be, stay on the tape, continued till the February 12th, 2026 meeting. Is there anyone here to want to speak on this? Seeing none. Brings Bill 7819. I think it's already on the table, but our attorney says I need a motion to be on the to put on the table.
Motion to table Bill 7819 till February 12th.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second.
Boyer.
Roth. Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 7820 is the same thing. They're requesting it to be tabled until the February 12th, 2026 meeting. Do I have a motion to table?
Motion to table Bill 7820.
Motion by Councilman Wexler, second. Second by Councilman Roth. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Brings us to Bill 7821. Motion for second reading.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Taylor.
Second by Councilman Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7821, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance providing for the approval and acceptance of the dedication of certain right-of-way and approval and acceptance for maintenance of certain street, traffic signal, and storm sewer improvements by the city of O'Fallon, Missouri, along a portion of Bryan Road in the vicinity of Cora Marie Drive.
Thank you. Motion final passage.
Kewen.
Councilman Kewen, second.
Taylor.
Second by Councilman Taylor. Questions or comments? Council members, please cast your vote.
The voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. 7821 passed, becomes ordinance number
7278.
7278. Thank you, Katie. Brings to Bill 7822. Motion for second reading.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Bill number 7822, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance of the city of O'Fallon, Missouri for an economic development sales tax of 3/8% and directing the submission of a ballot proposition to the qualified voters of the city at the general municipal election to be held on April 7, 2026.
Thank you. Motion final passage.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kewen, second.
Wexler.
Second by Councilman Wexler. Questions or comments? Mr. Kewen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So to be clear on this, what we're doing is we're putting this request on the ballot so that the people can decide if they want this tax. I'm going to vote against it because I don't want any extra taxes. But I'm not the final authority here. You guys are. So it'll either pass or it'll fail. But what we're voting on tonight is to put it on the ballot and give you the choice.
Thank you. Anybody else? Ms. Ragsdale.
Thank you, Mayor. While I am in favor of a vote of the people, I have to tighten my belt, so I don't understand why the city can't tighten their belt as well. We should not be going back to the residents asking for yet more money. And I was not able to be at the workshop when the 3/8% sales tax amount was discussed. And I do not, of course, I don't agree with any increase, but I certainly think that 3/8% is too high. So because while I might agree that going to the vote of a people, I think the amount is too high, and I'm going to be a no vote.
Thank you. Ms. Taylor.
I agree with Councilmember Kewen. I'm against this myself personally, but I think there's no other, way to represent our residents than letting this be a choice of the residents. So I will be voting for it, even though personally I will be voting against it.
Anybody else? Mr. Wexler?
Ditto to Councilmember Kewen and Councilmember Taylor. Ditto.
Okay. Anybody else? Council members, please cast your vote.
The voting is closed.
8 yes, 1 no. 7822 passed, becomes ordinance number
7279.
7279. Thank you, Katie. Questions or comments on the committee and commission reports? Seeing none, we stand as read. Questions or comments on the consent calendar?
Motion to approve, Kewen.
Second, Wexler.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second by Councilman Wexler. Council members, please cast your vote. Yeah.
The voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Consent calendar's been approved. Questions or comments on Resolution 122, 2026A? Motion and second to introduce.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Taylor?
Second by Councilman Taylor. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Resolution 122, 2026A, a resolution authorizing an agreement with CDWG, providing for the purchase of a JAMF and DEVICE licenses.
Motion second to approve.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Taylor?
Second by Councilman Taylor. Council members, please cast your vote.
Voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Resolution A has been approved. Questions or comments on Resolution B? Ms. Taylor?
Yeah, I was trying to wrap my head around this one. It's already been approved. It's just approving the construction, right? It just, I know we've had some discussions.
Mr. Snowden?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. This is an agreement with this company to do the City Hall renovation projects in an amount not to exceed that amount. So that is the agreement.
Just we're approving the construction company.
Contract.
Okay. Anybody else? No. Motion second to introduce.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second.
Costello.
Second by Costello. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Mr. O'Keefe.
Resolution 122, 2026B, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Integrate Construction Partners for the City Hall renovation project in an amount not to exceed $450,000.
Motion second to approve.
Kewen.
Motion by Councilman Kuhn, second. Costello. Second by Costello. Councilmember, please cast your vote.
The voting is closed.
9 yes, 0 no. Resolution B has been approved. No further business. Meeting is adjourned at 9:02.